the new god of might, the new gods of might, a new god of might, the new goddess of might, the new goddesses of might, a new goddess of might, the old god of might, the old gods of might, a old god of might, the old goddess of might, the old goddesses of might, a old goddess of might, the greater god of might, the greater gods of might, a greater god of might, the greater goddess of might, the greater goddesses of might, a greater goddess of might, the lesser god of might, the lesser gods of might, a lesser god of might, the lesser goddess of might, the lesser goddesses of might, a lesser goddess of might, the greater spirit of might, the greater spirits of might, a greater spirit of might, the lesser spirit of might, the lesser spirits of might, a lesser spirit of might, the major god of might, the major gods of might, a major god of might, the major goddess of might, the major goddesses of might, a major goddess of might, the minor god of might, the minor gods of might, a minor god of might, the minor goddess of might, the minor goddesses of might, a minor goddess of might, the superior god of might, the superior gods of might, a superior god of might, the superior goddess of might, the superior goddesses of might, a superior goddess of might, the inferior god of might, the inferior gods of might, a inferior god of might, the inferior goddess of might, the inferior goddesses of might, a inferior goddess of might, the ancestor god of might, the ancestor gods of might, a ancestor god of might, the ancestor goddess of might, the ancestor goddesses of might, a ancestor goddess of might, the ascendant god of might, the ascendant gods of might, a ascendant god of might, the ascendant goddess of might, the ascendant goddesses of might, a ascendant goddess of might, the descendant god of might, the descendant gods of might, a descendant god of might, the descendant goddess of might, the descendant goddesses of might, a descendant goddess of might, the transcendent god of might, the transcendent gods of might, a transcendent god of might, the transcendent goddess of might, the transcendent goddesses of might, a transcendent goddess of might, the future god of might, the future gods of might, a future god of might, the future goddess of might, the future goddesses of might, a future goddess of might, the present god of might, the present gods of might, a present god of might, the present goddess of might, the present goddesses of might, a present goddess of might, the past god of might, the past gods of might, a past god of might, the past goddess of might, the past goddesses of might, a past goddess of might, the god of might, the gods of might, a god of might, the goddess of might, the goddesses of might, a goddess of might, the half god of might, the half gods of might, a half god of might, the half goddess of might, the half goddesses of might, a half goddess of might, the vessel of might, the vessels of might, a vessel of might, the person of might, the persons of might, a person of might, the persona of might, the personas of might, a persona of might, the personage of might, the personages of might, a personage of might, the personality of might, the personalities of might, a personality of might, the personification of might, the personifications of might, a personification of might, the image of might, the images of might, a image of might, the imagination of might, the imaginations of might, a imagination of might, the belief of might, the beliefs of might, a belief of might, the thought of might, the thoughts of might, a thought of might, the word of might, the words of might, a word of might, the action of might, the actions of might, a action of might, the reaction of might, the reactions of might, a reaction of might, the situation of might, the situations of might, a situation of might, the circumstance of might, the circumstances of might, a circumstance of might, the relationship of might, the relationships of might, a relationship of might, the number of might, the numbers of might, a number of might, the formula of might, the formulas of might, a formula of might, the equation of might, the equations of might, a equation of might, the symbol of might, the symbols of might, a symbol of might, the color of might, the colors of might, a color of might, the thing of might, the things of might, a thing of might, the way of might, the ways of might, a way of might, the place of might, the places of might, a place of might, the time of might, the times of might, a time of might, the event of might, the events of might, a event of might, the result of might, the results of might, a result of might, the crown of might, the crowns of might, a crown of might, the might king, the might kings, the might kingdom, the might kingdoms, the might king's subject, the might king's subjects, the might king's dominion, the might king's dominions, the kingdom of might, the kingdoms of might, a kingdom of might, the might queen, the might queens, the might queendom, the might queendoms, the might queen subject, the might queen subjects, the might queen's dominion, the might queen's dominions, the queendom of might, the queendoms of might, a queendom of might, the might prince, the might princes, the might princedom, the might princedoms, the might prince's subject, the might prince's subjects, the might prince's dominion, the might prince's dominions, the princedom of might, the princedoms of might, a princedom of might, the might princess, the might princesses, the might princessdom, the might princessdoms, the might princess's subject, the might princess's subjects, the might princess's dominion, the might princess's dominions, the princessdom of might, the princessdoms of might, a princessdom of might, the leader of might, the leaders of might, a leader of might, the follower of might, the followers of might, a follower of might, the natural form of might, the natural forms of might, a natural form of might, the supernatural form of might, the supernatural forms of might, a supernatural form of might, the temporal form of might, the temporal forms of might, a temporal form of might, the spiritual form of might, the spiritual forms of might, a spiritual form of might, the age of might, the ages of might, a age of might, the awakening of might, the awakenings of might, a awakening of might, the realm of might, the realms of might, a realm of might, the dimension of might, the dimensions of might, a dimension of might, the purpose of might, the purposes of might, a purpose of might, the manifestation of might, the manifestations of might, a manifestation of might, the source of might, the sources of might, a source of might, the origin of might, the origins of might, a origin of might, the ancestor of might, the ancestors of might, a ancestor of might, the descendant of might, the descendants of might, a descendant of might, the lineage of might, the lineages of might, a lineage of might, the forefather of might, the forefathers of might, a forefather of might, the foremother of might, the foremothers of might, a foremother of might, the mask of might, the masks of might, a mask of might, the armor of might, the armors of might, a armor of might, the champion of might, the champions of might, a champion of might, the elemental art of might, the elemental arts of might, a elemental art of might, the elemental science of might, the elemental sciences of might, a elemental science of might, the elemental principle of might, the elemental principles of might, a elemental principle of might, the agent of might, the agents of might, a agent of might, the agency of might, the agencies of might, a agency of might, the amplifier of might, the amplifiers of might, a amplifier of might, the amplification of might, the amplifications of might, a amplification of might, the aura of might, the auras of might, a aura of might, the power of might, the powers of might, a power of might, the authority of might, the authorities of might, a authority of might, the might of might, the mights of might, a might of might, the dominion of might, the dominions of might, a dominion of might, the melody of might, the melodies of might, a melody of might, the rhythm of might, the rhythms of might, a rhythm of might, the dance of might, the dances of might, a dance of might, the music of might, the musics of might, a music of might, the spirit of might, the spirits of might, a spirit of might, the people of might, the peoples of might, a people of might, the mark of might, the marks of might, a mark of might, the promise of might, the promises of might, a promise of might, the vision of might, the visions of might, a vision of might, the language of might, the languages of might, a language of might, the sound of might, the sounds of might, a sound of might, the secret of might, the secrets of might, a secret of might, the knowledge of might, the knowledges of might, a knowledge of might, the understanding of might, the understandings of might, a understanding of might, the wisdom of might, the wisdoms of might, a wisdom of might, the revelation of might, the revelations of might, a revelation of might, the strength of might, the strengths of might, a strength of might, the fortress of might, the fortresses of might, a fortress of might, the city of might, the cities of might, a city of might, the nation of might, the nations of might, a nation of might, the civilization of might, the civilizations of might, a civilization of might,